All right, welcome to another edition of Octagon Thoughts. My name's Harry. You can find me at Thoughts Octagon on Twitter for all the UFC content in the world. And today we have Jake Smith joining us to break down Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor 3. Welcome, Jake. Welcome to Octagon Thoughts. What are your thoughts on this one?
Thanks for having me, buddy. Super excited to be here. First time on Octagon Thoughts. Obviously, I'm a pretty big UFC guy. I would say out of the group chat, me, you, and our boy Yossi and I'd say AO too are the hardcore UFC guys. We watch every single card. So I'm excited to be here. Obviously, the McGregor Poirier fight's going to be a barn burner. Starting out, man, it's kind of basic to say, but I think we're going to see a lot of the same things we've seen combined in the first two fights. The one thing that I'll say is I think McGregor is going to be a lot more kick friendly because I don't think he has to worry about Dustin taking him down, even though Dustin can wrestle. But I think that if Conor can get the leg kicks going, start mixing in the strikes, start being a little bit more light on his feet and stop trying to do this kind of boxing thing he's into right now, where he's very grounded, very flat footed. He's very wild, I'll say. And it's just not the Conor that I wouldn't say I was ever a Conor fan, but it's not the Conor that I've seen when he's at his best. During the fights, I realize now how the fight gets going and into once it starts flowing, you can kind of see what Conor's going to do, and it's pretty easy to tell whether he's going to win or lose now just on the first couple minutes. So I think the first couple minutes are going to be huge for the fight, and I think realistically, we're going to see another stoppage. I don't think it goes the distance. Yeah. I think these guys have decided, we're going to go out there and we're going to slug it out and we're going to see who's the better fighter.
Yeah, I threw it out on Twitter the other day that I really do believe that we're getting 100% the best versions of these guys that they could possibly put out today. Like, I'm not saying that we're getting featherweight King Conor because that's not possible. He was so big at that division. He was in his prime. His activity was at his highest. But I do think we're going to get the best possible McGregor we can get today. I think his talent's still there. I think he was training for Manny Pacquiao when he fought Dustin. I don't think he was prepared for a mixed martial arts bout. I think he's dedicated for this fight. I think he's going to be prepared for this fight. But I also think Dustin Poirier with a head full of confidence is a very dangerous Dustin Poirier because when he came into that second fight, he was the guy that got knocked out in the first round in the first fight. He was the guy that was down on himself. He was the guy that got head games by Conor. Conor just came out there and dominated him, put him to sleep early. And he was the guy that had to prove himself to Conor. He wasn't the one that was victorious and had the reign over Conor. So, and now he's coming in with the confidence knowing that he has the ability to defeat a Conor McGregor. It's easily the most high profile win of his career, and he dominated him, really. I mean, Conor had his moments in round one, but you could tell like halfway through round one after the takedown, Conor was getting a bit worn out. He was standing still. He was getting hit with those leg kicks. He was only boxing. He was not throwing any spinning attacks, any kicks. He got worn down very easily. The takedown came very easily. And by the second round, going into the second round, you thought, all right, Conor's going to have to land a Hail Mary here. This is going to get ugly quick, and it did. So I really do think in the second fight, we're getting the best versions possible today. Will that be enough from Conor, though? I don't know. When you really look at it, Conor only has one win at lightweight in his career, which is crazy to say, as he was lightweight champion of the world. And Dustin has 12. Dustin has 12 wins at lightweight. He's done work in this division. He's only lost to Michael Johnson on a fluke KO and Khabib Nurmagomedov, the GOAT, at 155. So it's really hard to pick against Dustin on paper, but I do still think the talent level's there of Conor where he can win this in the first two rounds. I really do believe that if we see mixed martial arts, Conor at 100%, I still think he can win this fight. I think it's a true pick 'em. I'm very excited for it. Who do you got in this one, Jake?
Honestly, man, I don't know because you hit on a lot of things that I wanted to ask you about there. Do you think that in the first fight, the second fight, because Conor won, do you think he was overconfident? And do you think Dustin might fall into a similar trap where it's all right, this guy flukily knocked me out in the first fight. I showed him who was boss in the second fight, and I'm going to do the same thing? Or do you think he tries to stay a little bit more grounded and tries to, all right, he's a good fighter, I'm a good fighter. Let's give this guy the respect he deserves, which I know he will. But do you think there's any element of all right, well, the last fight I just beat this guy, so I know I can beat him, and there's a little bit of overconfidence?
I don't. And one factor to that is Dustin Poirier fought Max Holloway for a second time. He beat Max Holloway the first time they fought him in a rematch for the interim lightweight championship, and he fought even better. He's better with confidence, I find. That's why I really do think we're getting 100% of 100%. I feel like you saw in the first Conor fight, mind games really did mess with him in that one. And he got down on himself a lot. Even after that fight, got down on himself, but he rebounded. And I feel like a Dustin coming off of wins, a better version. So that's a scary proposition for Conor in this one. That's what scares me about picking Conor possibly, is that we really are seeing the number one active lightweight in the world, and Dustin Poirier, who's proven it time and time again. So Conor really does have to go out there and beat him, and that's not going to be easy.
Yeah, man, it's tough, right? Because these guys are both world class. So like one punch from either of these guys could shut the other guy's lights out. So like for me, going into this third fight after seeing them both win, they both won by knockout. I think they both each won decisively in their own fights. So for me, it's a tough one. But like the point you said right there is Dustin's the number one active lightweight. Like Dustin's been fighting for the last couple of years. He's in this, like he's in the trenches, quote unquote. Like he's doing this and he wants to be champion, where I don't know if I feel the same from Conor. Like I know Conor's coming back. I feel like every time Conor loses, he gives you the, I'm coming back better, stronger, and more focused. And like, it's just not it. Like, I think he should step away from the sport before things get too bad. So like if he loses this one, to me, like there's a serious conversation about whether he keeps fighting, and I don't want to say tarnishing his legacy, but I feel like people have such recency bias. So if he goes out on 4 or 5 losses, like towards the end of his career, say out of like 8 fights, 9 fights, how are people going to remember Conor?
Yeah, that's a good point. But at the same time, I'd say if he loses, he's going to go fight Nate Diaz right away at 165 or 170 catchweight bout, and he'll probably win that, and then he'll be on top of the world yet again.
Making that money.
One question I had for you: the winner of this, who would you favor? The winner of this or Charles Oliveira in a fight? Because I really do think the winner of this is the number one lightweight in the world. I love Charles Oliveira. Been a Do Bronx fan for a long time. I think he deserved that title shot, but it should have been against Dustin Poirier if it wasn't for the money. And he just hasn't proven that he's the top lightweight in the world. Who do you think would win between the winner of this and Charles Oliveira?
That's a good question, man. Me and you were both huge Charles Oliveira fans. So when he won the belt, we were both pumped. So for me, it's tough, right? Because you never know with Do Bronx. Like if he was fighting Conor, I don't want to say he'd have the arrogance to try and stand with him, but I think he'd want to prove himself. Like if he was getting pieced up and stuff, then maybe he would start to go to the ground and work into his jiu-jitsu and stuff. But I feel like he's such a prideful guy that like he would want to stand with both of those guys for a bit. And I feel like that's a more dangerous game maybe with Conor coming out of the gates than maybe Dustin. So I feel like if Conor could catch Do Bronx early, that Conor would probably win. Where Dustin, I feel like Dustin maybe, I wouldn't say he takes time to get into the fight, but like, like half a round, 1 round, sometimes a round and a half, it takes for Dustin to like really get to his top level. And like by then, like Do Bronx could already win the fight. So just on the sheer like quick strike, fast pace ability out of the gate, I'd have to probably say Conor. But the more we get to talking, I don't think Conor's going to beat Dustin.
Yeah, really? Okay. Well, right now he's plus 110 underdog. Today is Tuesday night. I don't know. I'm curious to see how this line goes. I'm curious to see if the sharps push it to a Conor higher number, or if the public will back Conor towards a pick'em again. It's gonna be really interesting. I'm backing Conor just because I do think he's gonna be a lot better, and I do think he's the more talented guy. And I'm a team Conor guy since day 1. I'll be there till the last day, and we're riding McGregor on this one. Not for much at all, though. Not for much at all. But it's a heart. I'm picking up the heart, not the brain in this one. And I just think there's more of his story out there to be had, and I'm picking him. What about you?
Definitely. Yeah. For me, like, how I feel about Conor, right? A motivated Conor is unstoppable. So like, I don't have to love him, but I know when he's motivated and he's doing his thing, he's unbeatable. Like he's one of the best to ever do it. For me, I don't see the same guy. Like, as much as I used to hate about like, you know, Conor talking shit and like always being in people's faces and getting going. And then like, obviously the legal trouble with Khabib happened. So like he kind of had to tone it down just because he had to. But I think Conor's at his best when he's doing that shit, man. When he's like literally engaging in mental warfare. Like I think that gets him ready where he's like, I need to go murder this guy. Like I've been talking all this shit. I've been in his face. I've been talking. And like the only person it didn't work with realistically is Khabib. Because like even though he lost to Nate Diaz, he came back and beat him. And like even though Nate choked out Conor, I think it was more impressive that Conor was able to go 5 rounds with Nate and actually win the fight. So to me, like that's what I think was more impressive than Nate choking out Conor. So it'll be interesting. I want to see at the weigh-ins if Conor's all shaking hands, prideful, like let's be nice, martial arts type of deal, or if he's going to be in his face, stare down, screaming, telling him he's a piece of shit, I'm going to knock you out, blah blah blah, and back to the old Conor. Because if he's doing that, I think Dustin's not ready for that. I think it'll catch him really off guard because he'll be thinking, yeah, he was a nice guy last fight. We're probably going to get the same sort of thing. I humbled him. He's not going to come out here and talk shit after I knocked him out. But I think that would get Conor going, man. And if Conor does that, I feel like he could win.
I promise you we're not getting nice guy Conor. That guy's gone. And I promise you we're not getting bald Conor. Bald Conor was the worst version of Conor. I think we can all agree that bald Conor's not coming back. We don't need that. We need that nice little bit of fade hair there so he can be on his game.
Yeah.
And I can from what I'm seeing in the media and stuff, it sounds like he's been isolated away from his family for at least 6 weeks for a full training camp in California. He rented out a whole gym for just him and his close team to work and get back to the martial arts routes to like put it all in, putting a full camp together their best. So and from the videos that we're seeing, I mean, Conor learned how to use Instagram Live. We don't know what Conor looks like in the Octagon once he knows how to use Instagram Live. I mean, he's been live every day. He's been putting up storm. And then he even posts like this random video on Twitter, this 10-second video of just calling Dustin a pea head. So the mind games are on. We'll find out this Saturday between Dustin and Conor. I'm going with Conor. It sounds like you're leaning towards Dustin. Make your official prediction.
You know I'm flaky when it comes to picks in the UFC, bro. Unless I really feel something, I have a hard time committing. But just because you took McGregor, screw it. I'll go Poirier. You know, we'll probably have a little side bet or something. But just before we get out of here on this one, what round do you think he wins in? And how do you think he wins?
I don't think he can win a 5-round fight against Dustin Poirier. I think if it gets out of the 3rd round, he's in deep, deep trouble because Poirier's pressure is nonstop and he'll be in his face and he'd probably put him away. So I'll say Conor round 2 TKO. I'm not very confident on the method of victory just because it's unpredictable. But I'll say round 2 TKO. I'll say he finds the finish with that. I'll say head kick, then finish on the ground.
A head kick. Ooh. We haven't seen a Conor head kick in a hot minute. But yeah, I guess I'll say
Cowboy head kick.
Yeah. Fuck Cowboy. I love Cowboy.
Cowboy's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer.
Cowboy is a Hall of Famer, but this guy got pieced up by a shoulder. Anyways, I'm gonna say you hit on a good point there. So I'm gonna say Dustin by TKO round. I want to say round 4, but I don't think it'll go to round 4. So I'm gonna say round 3.
All right, I like it. All right, that's been another edition of Octagon Thoughts. Subscribe down below. Check out my Twitter at ThoughtsOctagon, and check out the Game of Inches podcast that features Jake. Cheers.